After Ethan Blackwell and I got back together, his girl bro climbed right back onto his lap. Annie, don't get petty again. Daddy sitting on his kid's lap is no big deal. Right, my boy? Like, I'd ever be into you, you damn mutt. I said flatly that it was fine. From the moment we got back together, I became exactly what Ethan had always wanted, the perfect girlfriend in his head. I stopped getting jealous when he roughhoused with his girl bro, and I stopped using Life 360 to track his whereabouts. Even if he and his girl bro kissed as a joke, slept in the same bed, or got sloppy drunk and hooked up, I could still show up with the morning after pill and keep a straight face. I get it, I said. You didn't mean it. You were just drunk, and I'm not mad. It wasn't because I loved Ethan that much. It was because the system promised that anything I got from him, I could take back to my world. I wasn't about to spend 3 years with him for nothing. Why aren't you mad? Ethan asked. His brows were knitted tight as he stared at me. The second I got lured here by a text from an unknown number, I knew exactly what I'd find on the other side of the door. I used to get mad, too. From the start, Ethan had always indulged Riley Quinn, the girl bro he'd grown up with, insisting she was his best bro. But when I caught him trading bites off the same fork with his best bro, I flipped the table. When they lost a round of truth or dare and got dared to kiss, I slapped Riley until her face swelled up and made Ethan share his location on Life 360. Ethan's friends started to hate me. Ethan called me crazy, and Riley sobbed as she cut him off. Then Riley came down with a 104-degree fever and passed out at home, and she only came to after being rushed to the ER. When she woke up, she snapped at Ethan immediately. Who told your sorry ass to come save me? She snapped. Your girlfriend's gonna show up and beat me again. Your daddy won't die from the fever. She'll beat me to death. You ungrateful little punk. That scare, the thought of nearly losing Riley, was more than Ethan could take. He dumped me. I'd stayed in this world for him. After I finally cleared the system's objective with him, the system went dark, and I couldn't get back to my real life. With no degree, no transcripts, and nothing that proved who I was, I ended up doing dirty, backbreaking jobs, and went from heaven straight into hell. Ethan even brought Riley by once, just to laugh at me. When you finally learn to be tolerant and big about it, when you can make room for Riley, then I'll consider getting back together with you. Later, the system appeared again, and I never wanted to taste that kind of misery twice. I smiled and spoke slowly, because I swallowed the rest. I didn't love him anymore. Because it was an accident, I said. It wasn't what you really wanted. I'd finally learned to be the tolerant and understanding woman he kept preaching about. Ethan watched me for a few seconds, then let out a breath like he'd been holding it. On the bed, Riley, covered in hickeys, snatched up a pillow and chucked it at him. Ethan, your skills are trash. You had your daddy hurting like hell, and when I told you to stop, you just kept going. So damn annoying. Get out already. Quit doing your PDA crap in front of me. It's disgusting. Are you trying to rub it in that I'm forever single? On the way back, Ethan kept glancing my way, and he didn't speak until after I got in the car. Annie, he said, voice low, you've changed. A lot. I scrolled through designer couture on my phone without looking up. I love you, I said. Of course I'd change for you. It's my birthday today, and I want this necklace. Will you buy it for me? I held the screen out to him. I'd picked the priciest one, the kind people called an investment piece. As the only heir to the richest billionaire in America, Ethan was never stingy, even if he had zero sense of romance. Every time he bought me something outrageously expensive, it was right after I'd gotten jealous about how close he and Riley were. It was probably just guilt money. Before Ethan could answer, Riley's call lit up the screen. Get your ass over here, Riley snapped over the phone. The stuff you left in me is running down my leg, and I slipped and can't get up. Trying to kill your daddy so you can take over, huh? She went on. Hurry up, or I'm disowning you. It wasn't on speakerphone, but Riley's voice was loud on purpose, like she wanted to make sure I heard every word. Stuff like this used to happen all the time, and no matter how hard I begged or how hysterical I got, Ethan would still go running to her. Afterward, they'd even pin some evil girlfriend label on me like I was the villain in their story. But this time, I smiled at Ethan, sweet and considerate. Go ahead, I said. I can take the bus home. He froze, lips pressed thin, and then, surprisingly, he said into the phone, Can't you handle it yourself? I'm taking Annie home, he added. It's her birthday. I froze too, then forced the strange tightness in my chest back down. Don't read into it. I didn't know what Riley said next, but Ethan pulled over and had me get out, looking guilty as he promised. I'll buy the necklace. I'm going to check on her first, he said. I'll come back tonight and celebrate your birthday with you. Night came and Ethan, just like always, went missing. The necklace he'd promised me was hanging around Riley's neck instead. I watched her flaunt it on Instagram and didn't get mad because anything Ethan promised me was something I could take with me when I left. System. Host, are you sure you want to leave this world? The male lead's love for you is at 90%. System. His family is insanely rich. If you stay and marry him, you'll be out of the wage slave grind for good. I shrugged. So, that means there's still 10% of him that doesn't love me. And I don't do cheaters, I added. Whoever wants to marry him can have him. His love for me used to be at 100%. If Riley could knock it down by 10, she could knock it all the way to 0. Love was never as solid as money. At 10 p.m., Ethan called and said Riley had thrown me a birthday party. When I arrived, they were in the middle of truth or dare. Riley held a card high over her head and grinned like she couldn't wait to watch someone suffer. Whoever pulls an A, congrats, she said. You win a 10-second kiss from Daddy as your prize. Don't be shy, boys, she went on. A kiss from me doesn't come cheap. Ethan flipped his card. A big, bold A stared back at everyone in the room, and the noise died instantly. All eyes swung to me. I sat down next to Ethan like nothing happened and lifted my phone. Go ahead, I said calmly. I'll record it so you can rewatch it when you're old as a keepsake. No screaming. No table flipping. No public meltdown. My face was so peaceful, it looked almost fake. Ethan's expression, on the other hand, darkened. Riley looped an arm around his neck. Annie agreed, she purred. What? You scared? Last night you had your daddy seeing stars, she went on. And now you're gonna turn into a coward? Is that what your daddy taught you? How to chicken out? She added. Fine, if you don't want to, I'll pick someone else. She shoved him, reaching for the guy beside her, but Ethan yanked her back. They kissed harder and harder like it was a contest, and it blew past 10 seconds fast. When everyone realized I wasn't reacting, the room erupted again. Someone even bumped my arm, laughing like they were doing me a favor. Look at you, being smart about it, one of Ethan's friends said. Since you're being so cool, we'll give you some respect. Didn't even know why. Right as the silence stretched, Riley ran over, clinging to Ethan's arm. She leaned in close and gave him a quick knuckle tap on the head, casual and familiar. Why are you fighting again? She said, playful and sweet. Don't you bully Annie. You know she's petty, Riley added, smiling. And you're a man, so learn from Daddy. I never waste my time arguing with petty people, she said. Or girls. Come on. We're cutting cake. Come on, she added, tugging him back toward the room. We're cutting cake. Ethan's friends were trash in their own special ways, but they were never stingy when it came to saving face. By the end of the night, I'd received well over $1 million worth of gifts. Riley leaned in close to me, grinning like she was about to say something obscene on purpose. Annie, I didn't get you a gift, she said. So I'll give you the bedroom tricks I just learned. Everything that Brat knows is boring as hell, she added, voice dripping with satisfaction. And the way he calls people baby and stuff, she went on. So, Ethan cut her off by throwing his phone onto the table. Enough, he snapped. Why are you saying this? Riley rolled her eyes at him. Daddy says what she wants, she said. You can do it, but you can't handle me talking about it. What? You didn't call me baby? She slid into the seat beside me, grabbed my hand like we were the close ones. As she moved, the necklace slipped out from under her collar. I froze for half a beat, and Riley caught it immediately. This necklace cost like 12 million bucks, she said brightly. It's called Heart of True Love. The name's corny, she added, but my brat of a son bought it for me, so I won't complain. Ethan's expression tightened. Without thinking, I reached out. Ethan's eyes flashed, and he grabbed my wrist and flung my hand away hard. "You're trying to hurt Riley again?" he barked. "When are you going to quit that vicious streak of yours?" My head hit the edge of the table. Blood started pouring out immediately. I started. Ethan's mouth opened like he wanted to say something, but no sound came out. It hurt, but it wasn't new. Ethan had put me through plenty of these small injuries, the kind that didn't kill you but left a bruise on your heart. The only difference now was that I didn't feel heartbreak anymore. I stood up calmly and stepped in front of Riley. I plucked a single hair off the necklace chain. "It's beautiful," I said. A snagged hair could ruin the setting, and if a diamond got loosened, the value would drop. The private room went dead silent. I looked at Ethan and said calmly, "I'm going to urgent care to get this cleaned up and bandaged." "You stay and keep having fun," I added. Ethan chased me into the hallway and gripped my shoulders, guilt filling his eyes. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I just reacted on instinct. I'll go with you to the—" "Ethan!" someone yelled from inside. Riley passed out. Ethan hesitated, looking back, then looking at me like he was being ripped in half. As his perfect girlfriend, I was supposed to be understanding. "Go back," I said. "She looks worse than I do." The guilt in his face only deepened. Then, "I'm going," he said. "Tonight was my fault. I'll make it up to you," he added fast. "Text me what you want, and I'll buy it all." When a human ATM offers, you don't say no. So, I didn't hold back. I picked out close to $200 million worth of things, and Ethan didn't blink once when he paid. Then he said suddenly, "Annie, I've been thinking. I think it's time we get married," he said. "Next week." I paused and looked up at him, smiling like I was joking. "Sure," I said. "So, what's the ring budget?" Ethan frowned. "I don't really know about that. But I'll make you the happiest bride in all of Southport," he said. I'd assumed Ethan was just talking, and that I only cared about the promises he made me. I didn't expect him to actually start planning our wedding. When his assistant brought over the wedding settlement list, the assets and gifts he was putting in my name, she spent a full 30 minutes reading it out loud. "Mrs. Blackwell," she said, smiling, "Mr. Blackwell is unbelievably generous to you. I don't think even actual royalty gets half of this." I just smiled and said nothing, and asked the system in my head, "If it's written under my name, I can take it with me when I leave, right?" System: "Yes, host. Also, Ethan's love meter just went up 5 points. Oh, I said. It didn't change anything. On the morning of the wedding, I was still debating whether I should exit this world right in front of Ethan and scare him half to death. That was when Ethan burst in, frantic, and stopped in front of me with red-rimmed eyes. He looked like he wanted to speak, but couldn't force the words out. "What's wrong with him?" I asked the system. System. Riley staged a kidnapping. She's pregnant, and she doesn't want Ethan to get married. System. She'll also have someone kidnap you. System. Do you want to extract now? It would be one less problem. A problem? Not necessarily. What happened? I asked softly, taking Ethan's hand like I cared. He was breathing hard when he finally rasped, "Riley's been kidnapped." "Annie," he said, voice breaking, "I might not be able to go through with the wedding today." "It's okay," I said immediately. "Go find Ms. Quinn first. A life is on the line," I added. "We can postpone the wedding." Ethan hugged me so tightly it almost hurt. "Thank you," he said hoarsely. "Once I get Riley back, I'll make it up to you." The wedding was called off the second he left. On my way back home, someone knocked me out. When I came to, Riley and I were tied up together. A kidnapper traced a knife along our throats, smiling as he stared at Ethan. "You brought $1 million, he said. "That only buys one person." "So tell me," he went on, "is it your girl bro, or your soon-to-be wife?" Ethan clenched his fists so hard his knuckles went white, and his eyes turned bloodshot. Before he could answer, Riley started sobbing. "Ethan, I'm pregnant," she cried. "It's your baby. Are you really going to let me and your kid die?" "You're pregnant," Ethan blurted, shocked. Riley nodded fast, panicking. My stomach hurts so bad." "Please," she begged. "Save our baby." When Ethan looked at me again, his face was twisted with pain. "I'm sorry," he said. "Riley's in pain, and I have to get her to a hospital first." "Annie, I promise I'll come back for you," he said. "I will." "Ethan," I screamed, tears spilling as I fought the ropes until they bit into my wrists and drew blood. "I don't want to die," I sobbed, my voice shredded. "You're my boyfriend. How can you not choose me and just watch me die?" I cried. "How can you act like I don't matter at all?" No matter how I begged, Ethan didn't say a single word. He lowered his head, shaking, and handed the $1 million to the kidnapper. Then he lifted Riley into his arms and looked at me. "I'm sorry, Annie," he said. "I'll make it up to you." "Whatever you want," he promised. "I'll give it to you." He'd been unwavering from the start. To him, Riley mattered most. I smiled, bleak and broken, and stared at him like I was watching the end of something. "Then give me your company," I said. "Do you agree to that too?" "You're just lying to me," I said, voice hollow. "You picked Riley and left me to die." "Ethan," I said, "you don't love me." His eyes were red when he answered, "I already decided you're my wife." "What does it matter if I hand the company over to you?" he said. "I'm yours too, and everything I have is yours." "Just this once," he begged. "I swear I'll come back and pay to get you out." "Wait for me," he said, and walked out without looking back. The second his back faced me, my grief vanished. All that was left was something cold and unfamiliar. Ethan, I said quietly, I'm done with you. His body jerked like the words hit him, and then he walked faster, disappearing out the door. System, I said. Initiate extraction. I was finally going home. System, do you want to stay and watch Ethan's ending? After he loses everything, he'll regret it. He might even break down sobbing. I had zero interest in watching him regret anything. But I did want to see his face once he realized the company was gone. Just thinking about it felt good. The instant I agreed, the system reported mechanically that the original host body had died. And I became a thin wisp of a spirit, floating in midair. When the kidnappers realized I'd dropped dead for no reason, they panicked. To cover it up, they dumped my body into the ocean and ran. I drifted after Ethan, all the way to the hospital. Ethan, Riley said, clinging to him. I'm scared here by myself. Stay with me, okay? Riley had been acting the whole time, so of course the doctors couldn't find anything wrong. To keep Ethan from going back for me, she had no choice but to keep playing helpless. Riley, you're safe now, Ethan said, tight and controlled. 13. Annie is still waiting for me, he added, and turned to leave. Riley lunged and wrapped her arms around his waist like a chain. Her teeth clenched, jealousy and resentment flashing across her face. I'm carrying your baby, she hissed. I just went through something terrifying. You won't even stay and comfort me, she demanded. Not even for a minute? Have someone else go save Annie, she said. Please. I saw the struggle in Ethan's eyes. He wasn't going. He always went soft for Riley, and this wouldn't be the exception. Chapter 5. 55.56%. System. What if he really leaves her and goes to you? I munched on the popcorn the system handed me and smiled calmly. Then he'll only find my corpse, bloated and waterlogged, I said. Hours have already passed, and there might even be maggots, but if it disgusts him, that's still kind of satisfying. What I didn't expect was Ethan ripping Riley's hands off him, without mercy. That night was a mistake, he said flatly. I'll take responsibility for the baby, he added, but Annie has always been afraid of pain. She probably never wanted to have a child, he said, voice turning colder. If you want to give birth, he continued, fine. But the baby will be raised by Annie, not by you. Riley's eyes went red instantly. She slapped Ethan hard across the face. What am I to you, Dash? She screamed. A breeding tool for you and Annie? Can we talk when I get back? Ethan said, checking his watch again and again. He didn't know why, but the unease in his chest was getting worse by the second. Riley blocked the door. No, she said. Not today. Today you tell me exactly what I am to you, she demanded. Ethan finally snapped. Aren't we best bros? He shot back. I've always treated you like my best bro. Nothing has ever changed, he said. So, what are you even asking me to say? Riley went white. She stumbled back, laughing like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Brothers, she echoed, bitter and shaking. Ethan shoved past her and ran. Even as he sprinted out, he called his assistant to prepare the ransom money. Mr. Blackwell, the assistant said, voice strained, we can't get 1 million together. Your company is gone, she said. Everything under your name, properties, cars, cash, stock holdings has been zeroed out. What do you mean my company is gone? Ethan demanded. His vision went dark, and he nearly collapsed. I'd almost never seen that kind of disbelief and panic on his face. When I first got dropped into this world, the imposter air was crushing him, and his stepmother was trying to have him killed. Even then, Ethan had been ice cold and in control. But this made sense. Back then, to prove he was capable, I'd stayed by his side while he dragged Sterling Group back from bankruptcy. The Blackwell family hadn't given him a single dime of support, and only the two of us knew what that struggle cost. Now it was all gone in an instant. Anyone would panic. Call the family estate, Ethan barked. Tell my dad to loan me 1 million. I'll pay it back, he said. Saving Annie comes first. That part surprised me. When Ethan reached the warehouse, it was empty. A heavy, sick dread swallowed him whole. That was when Riley showed up. Annie ran, she yelled. She ran. The company and all your assets, she said. She had to be behind it. She never got back with you because she loved you, Riley snapped. She did it for your money. And even the necklace you gave me, she said. She took it. I was still wearing it when I got kidnapped, she insisted. It vanished. Well, fine. She'd actually guessed right. Riley glared up at Ethan, furious enough to shake. Can't you see it? She screamed. This whole kidnapping was Annie's show. She lured you here, Riley said, and while you were distracted, her people moved your money. And if you hadn't chosen me, she added, voice sharp with certainty, she would have had those kidnappers kill me. Ethan shook his head immediately. No way. She only knows me here, he said. The kidnappers must have taken her somewhere else. Quit talking nonsense. Annie isn't the kind of person you're making her out to be. Then, like he was seeing Riley for the first time, he frowned at her. Stop making up accusations about Annie, he said coldly. Riley's face stiffened. It was almost funny. I was dead, and only now he wanted to believe me and speak up for me. Just as Ethan was about to follow up with his assistant, his phone rang. Mr. Blackwell? A stranger asked. Is Ms. Brooks your girlfriend? If she is, the caller continued, could you come identify her body? We can't find any next of kin contact information. The moment he heard the words identify her body, Ethan's expression froze solid. A beat later, he let out a harsh laugh and snapped. Your wife is the one who's dead. Of course, he didn't believe it. When I decided to stay in this world, I told Ethan everything. He knew I was here on a system quest, and he knew I had no one and nowhere to go except him. So later, he bullied me without restraint, because he was sure I couldn't leave. Ethan, did you forget what Annie did to me back then? Riley cut in. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have almost died of a fever alone in my room. She steadied herself and went on. You're right, we're bros, but I'm pregnant with your baby and that's a fact. Maybe Annie knew all along, she said, voice sharpening. So she staged this whole thing to kill me and my baby. Because what woman would tolerate another woman carrying her husband's child? Riley pressed. You know how jealous Annie is. I looked at Ethan without thinking. He fell silent, thought for a few seconds, and then nodded. He believed Riley again. That was exactly what I expected. Ethan had people at the Blackwell family estate digging into how Sterling Group could vanish. Overnight, but of course they found nothing. They ran around like headless chickens, and honestly, it was kind of entertaining. I was about to drift away when I saw Ethan head to the police station. He filed a report, insisting I'd moved his assets and demanding they find me as soon as possible. System. It's normal for him to suspect you. You told him you were from another world, and that already sounds insane. But the officer just sighed. We already found her. Your girlfriend has been dead for 3 hours, the officer said. How exactly would she transfer your assets? The body is still here, he added, matter of fact. And our investigation shows she has no friends, no family, and no contacts except you. So why would she steal from you, he asked, if you were the only person she had in this world? The moment Ethan saw my body, he went rigid and didn't dare take another step. Just like I'd guessed, I was swollen from the water, but at least there were no maggots. No, Ethan choked out. That's impossible. It was only an hour, he insisted. Just an hour. How could she be dead, he said, voice cracking. I told them I'd come back with the money. Ethan forced a stiff smile, like he could trick himself into it. But the ring on my bloated finger, the wedding ring he'd chosen with his own hands, made denial impossible. His wife had died on the day of their wedding. Kidnappers aren't idiots, the officer said bluntly. Why would they wait for you in the same place? What if you called the cops, he went on. They ran, and that's that. You saved one person, the officer said bluntly, which means you abandoned the other. You should have known, he added. I'm sorry for your loss. See? It was something anyone could have figured out. Ethan was the only one naive enough to believe they'd actually wait for him to come back. The officer's words hit like a blade. Ethan collapsed to his knees and crawled toward me, not even flinching at the stink or the grime. He wrapped his arms around me and held on, his eyes unfocused and vacant. "Stop it," he whispered, shaking Annie. "Stop it. Get up," he begged. "We're going home, and we're getting married." "It's too cold here," he muttered. "I'm taking you home." Grief left his arms weak and useless. He couldn't lift me, and in the struggle he scraped my hand hard enough to tear the skin. The ring slid off my decaying flesh and dropped to the floor. Ethan lurched down in panic, searching on his hands and knees. "No," he pleaded, frantic. "We're getting married. You can't throw away our ring," he said, voice breaking. In the end, Ethan couldn't take it. He fainted. When he woke up, he was in a hospital bed with his friends gathered around him, all wearing worried faces. "Where's Annie?" he asked. I stood behind the crowd and listened to Ethan mumble to himself. "The wedding didn't happen," he said dully. "We have to pick a new date." "She's not mad," he added, like he was trying to convince himself. "She can't be mad." He paused, then lowered his voice. "Ever since we got back together, she hasn't been mad at me once," he said. "Does she even love me?" Riley couldn't take it anymore. She walked up and slapped him. "Are you even a man?" she snapped. "So, Annie died." "So what?" "She's just a woman," Riley said viciously. "We're still here with you, and I'm carrying your baby." Ethan started to cry. It began in silence, tears sliding down his face, and then he covered his eyes and broke into a raw, ugly sob like he wasn't even the same person anymore. His friends rushed in to calm him down. "She's gone," one of them said. You have to pull yourself together. Fix the company and your assets first," he added. "And it's not like you even liked her that much, right?" "Yeah," someone else chimed in. "Riley's pregnant. Now that Annie's gone," he said, "it's perfect. You can finally be with Riley." Ethan lifted his head. His eyes were so red they looked like they were bleeding. "I didn't like her that much," he repeated. "Isn't that true?" a friend said. "You dumped her for Riley. For a whole year, she suffered, and you didn't even check on her," he continued. "And when it came down to it, you chose Riley. You kissed Riley," he added. "You slept with her. If you really liked Annie," he said, "you wouldn't have done all that and made her hurt." Their words dumped ice water over Ethan from head to toe. If even outsiders saw it that way, then what about Annie? She must have believed it too. She had nowhere to go, so she swallowed everything and stayed beside him, until she lost even her life. The system started screaming in my head again. "System, Ethan's love meter is back at 100%. I watched his tears, dazed for a moment. I'd never doubted the system. Ethan did love me, but his love was tainted. And I couldn't stomach something that half-baked. After he cried himself empty, Ethan went back to his usual cold, blank face. He had people trace the kidnappers fast, and they were caught within hours. "It was Riley," one of them sobbed, dropping to his knees. "Riley asked us to help with Annie. She staged the whole thing," he cried. "She said once you took Riley away, we could violate Annie." Ethan's face didn't change at all. He broke the man's leg like it was nothing, voice ragged when he said, "Violate." "You didn't violate her," he said. "You killed her." "We didn't kill anyone," the kidnapper wailed. "She was already dead when we got to her." "Have the medical examiner check," he begged. "We didn't touch her, I swear." Ethan froze. Then he stood there and burst out laughing, the sound sharp and unhinged. After that, he went to Riley's house. Unfortunately, her father was there too. He stared at the baseball bat in Ethan's hand and said flatly, "What do you think you're doing?" "Riley is pregnant with your baby," he added. "You barging in like this, aren't you afraid you'll scare her?" Ethan didn't answer. He just stared at Riley. "System, Ethan is a cold person, but he cried that hard. He'll probably avenge you." So many times I believed that too. I kept thinking that no matter what, Riley was just a bro. How could she compare to everything Ethan and I had survived together? But reality proved one thing. The higher the hope, the harder the fall. "Since there's already a baby," Ethan said to Riley, "then let's be together." I didn't love Ethan anymore. But hearing that still hurt, just for a second. It hurt for how naively I'd given him years of my life. "Extract me," I told the system. "I don't want to watch anymore. I returned to my original world. I'd been an orphan there, which was why I believed him when he swore he'd love me for the rest of his life. I stayed without any guard up because I wanted to be loved that badly. Now, I was an orphan again. Only this time, I was an orphan rich enough to revalge a nation. I'd studied finance and business management before I ended up here, and I'd spent years at Sterling Group with Ethan, so taking over his company came naturally to me. Once you have money, love starts to feel cheap and hardly worth mentioning. Back when he dumped me, I spent night after night spiraling, choking on the same question until it broke me. Why didn't Ethan love me? Looking back now, I can't believe how stupid I was. With enough money, you can have endless options, whether it's a cheating piece of trash like Ethan or the clean, faithful, all-in-kind system. Host, do you want to see Ethan's ending? He didn't marry Riley. I was sprawled on $1 million leather sectional, and that actually sounded mildly entertaining. Sure, I said. Let's watch. After Ethan and Riley got together, she somehow ended up worse off than she'd ever been as his girl bro, because the company was gone. No bags, no jewelry, and she was even living in a rental. Ethan didn't come home, either. There was no companionship, no kissing, none of the things couples were supposed to have. At first, Riley was drunk on the fact that she'd won, and she even dropped her loud, carefree girl bro persona. She started playing house cooking and cleaning for Ethan and swore she'd suffer with him while they rebuilt Sterling Group from scratch. But after enough cold shoulders, enough nights he didn't come home, and enough times he openly slummed around with other women like he didn't care, Riley finally snapped. She stormed up, yanked the woman by the hair, and started swinging. Ethan shielded his hookup and shoved Riley away, irritated. Are you done? He said. I'm already with you. Since we were kids, you've stayed beside me calling yourself my girl bro, he went on. You kept things blurry between us, and you kept hinting Annie was jealous. Wasn't this exactly what you wanted? He asked, flat as ice. Riley broke down, crying so hard she could barely breathe. I wanted you to love me, she sobbed. Everything I did was because I love you. I love you, she begged again. Ethan didn't blink. I only ever saw you as a bro, he said. And Annie loved me too, he added, colder still. Now that you're hurting, you finally understand how much she hurt back then. Riley went paper white. She stared at him like she'd never seen him before. So, you only got with me to punish me? She whispered. You're still hung up on Annie? Ethan's voice stayed empty. I love her, he said. Of course I still think about her. You staged the kidnapping and made me lose her forever, he said. You deserve this. I deserve this. Riley laughed through tears, the sound cracked and ugly. Ethan, sure, I staged it, she said. So, what if I did? If you had chosen Annie, she wouldn't have died, Riley spat. You killed her. The one who deserves it most is you, she went on, shaking. I tempted you on purpose, but if you didn't bite, I couldn't force you. You drove her to death, Riley said. Lag harder. Maybe she died hating you. Ethan and Riley started fighting, and Riley miscarried. That was the end of them. Ethan never rebuilt the company, either. Instead, he started paying psychics to do rituals, trying to summon me back. 2 pieces of trash, I muttered, and they still didn't end up chained to each other. Whatever Ethan did to Riley afterward was just revenge to soothe his own conscience. It didn't move me at all. If anything, it just made my skin crawl. That afternoon, my best friend called to say she'd set me up with a sweet puppy boy who was tap and built like a dream. I rushed over without wasting a second. What do you think? My best friend said, practically drooling. Clean and honest, and he blushes the second you talk to him. And the best part, she added, fanning herself, he's so fresh-faced and baby smooth. I was satisfied. When you're rich and bored, you might as well date for fun and keep it light. It takes the edge off work, too. I had just tilted Tyler Knox's chin up with my fingers when a man charged in and punched Tyler square in the temple. Back off. Ethan snarled. Don't touch my wife. The second I saw him, I startled, then called the system in my head, annoyed. What's going on? I asked. Why is Ethan here? System. He killed himself at your grave. I didn't expect him to show up here either. Tyler's voice stayed calm, but the muscle in his arms didn't. Annie, he said, some random lunatic is ruining your mood. I'll throw him out right now. Tyler was solid muscle, and Ethan was no match for him. Ethan got hauled toward the door like luggage, but he refused to go, scrabbling for the table leg. With shaking hands, he looked at me desperately, and the tears came before he could even get the words out. Annie, he choked. I knew you weren't dead. I was wrong, he said, voice breaking. I'm done with Riley. She'll never come between us again. Please forgive me, he begged. Just give me one more chance. You loved me so much, he said, desperate. I treated you like that, and you still came back to me. Do you really have it in you to leave me? He asked, shaking. I laughed so hard my shoulders trembled. No, I said. I don't love you. The only reason people get jealous, I went on, is because they care. Only love turns you into the crazy one, I said, looking him dead in the eye. From the second we got back together, I didn't love you anymore. That's why nothing you did could make me mad, I added. In my mind, you were the same as a stranger. Ethan lay there, stunned, and the light in his eyes faded little by little. The light in his eyes dulled, little by little, until it was almost gone. I tugged my sweet puppy boy by his tie and got into the car. Ethan followed behind us the whole way. For as long as Tyler and I went at it in that room, Ethan stood outside the door. The moment he saw the fresh marks on my neck, He coughed up blood and finally understood what it felt like, watching the person you loved flirt and cross lines right in front of you. It hurt too much to breathe. Annie, he sobbed at the door, voice shredded. I'm sorry. I didn't bother responding. I took my sweet puppy boy everywhere and did whatever I wanted, and Ethan trailed behind us like a shadow with a broken mind. Without money, and without knowing the city, he grew more and more miserable. He took the kind of bottom-rung jobs I used to do just to stay alive. He even had his wages withheld, and when he tried to argue for them, someone beat him with a stick. So yeah, he finally learned what it felt like, being abandoned and alone after getting dumped. Annie, he asked one day, voice trembling, will you forgive me? I was in a hurry to go shopping with my sweet puppy boy, and I didn't have the patience for that kind of pointless noise. Toward. As I passed him, Ethan suddenly me. There was a sickening sound. Riley's knife drove straight into Ethan. Riley screamed. She broke down sobbing. Han's neck, and blood sprayed instantly. Him. The collapsed, then broke down sobbing in disbelief. Clutching. Why would you take the for Annie? She shrieked. Do you even understand that everything that happened to you is her fault? She stole your money, Riley cried, shaking him. Your father turned on you. Chapter 9. 100%. You're nothing now, she shouted, wild with rage. Why didn't you just let her die? Riley's hatred swallowed her whole. She yanked the knife free and charged at me again. Ethan grabbed her, and they toppled together into traffic. A car hit them with a sickening crack. Ethan landed in front of me, soaked in blood. Annie, he whispered. I'm sorry, he said, barely there. My chest twisted with too many emotions at once. I called 911. As they loaded him into the ambulance, Ethan managed a weak smile at me. I love you, he whispered. Annie. Riley died on the spot. Ethan died at the hospital when the resuscitation failed, and no one came to claim him. He ended up buried in a county potter's field. I wasn't about to let something that small ruin my mood. I still had shopping to do with my sweet puppy boy. I still had a rich woman's life to enjoy. Moral of the story: men can cheat on you, but money can't.